who's going to join me for this one. All right. Okay. So I guess I'll wait a little bit to see if anybody comes in, but this is, hi Amit, welcome. So yeah, this is going to be kind of a sensitive topic, so I'm not leaving it up for replay. And I know a lot of people are uncomfortable with this topic, so yeah, we'll see how it goes. Hi Amit, how are you? So I'm just going to wait a little bit, see if other people come in. Where are you from, Amit? I'm doing okay, more or less. You're from Greece. Okay, cool. Sounds good. I've always wanted to go to Greece. Seems like it's a beautiful place. So today's topic is going to be abuse and disability. Like I said, it's not a happy topic. It's not a topic that a lot of people want to hear about. But I think it's something that needs to be talked about a little bit more. So I think a lot of people are just uncomfortable with it. So I don't think I'm going to have a lot of people coming in here for this particular scope. So I'm just going to go ahead and get started. So this is a topic that's pretty, I think it's pretty prevalent. I think it's a lot more common than what people think. Especially because disabled people are not always able to report abuse. I think hi Adriana, how are you? Thank you for the hearts. So this is kind of a heavy topic. I was just saying that this is a bit of a heavy topic, so if you're uncomfortable or if anybody's uncomfortable with it, I'm doing okay. It's okay if, if people don't want to hear the topic, that's fine. I noticed that not a lot of people came in, so it's probably not a very popular topic. But I think it's very common. There's another girl on here. I forget what her handle is, but her name is Kate, and I believe she's in a wheelchair, and she's also talked about this quite a bit. I think she just scoped either yesterday or a couple days ago about the topic. And then I've seen her scope before a while back about the topic as well. And she's even played clips of, disabled people talking about abuse and how they were abused and stuff like that. But anyways, I'm going to start with, I guess, some background information. What is abuse? Abuse can be physical, emotional. It can be neglect, isolation. There's financial or material abuse, abandonment, sexual abuse, and self-neglect. So you can actually abuse your own self as a disabled person. If you neglect to clean yourself up, if you're a hoarder, those things are also self-neglect. But sometimes some people that are disabled are not able to clean their houses or take care of themselves. So that kind of makes it a bit of a, catch-22. So those are the different types of abuse. Hi, Trinity. Welcome. Those are the different types of abuse that can occur. And I'll give examples of all the different ones. Hi, Trinity. Welcome. Hi, Maya. Welcome. And I'll give you guys different examples from my own personal experience in a little bit. There are a few different facts about, abuse as it pertains to disabled people. Disabled people are the highest risk group for abuse and violence, and society isn't even aware of the problem. So this is, a problem. Like I said, it's really hard for a disabled person to report that they're being abused. Probably because some of them have difficulty talking or they have cognitive issues. or just mobility issues. They can't really use a phone, or for whatever reason, they can't get to a phone, or they can't call the police, that kind of thing. Mental disease, yeah, like people that are mentally ill as well have issues. I mean, like I said, there's cognitive issues, there's processing issues, and they, maybe they don't even know how to dial a phone. Support for disabled victims is much less available than for non-disabled victims. So I just don't think there's a lot of outreach when it comes to disabled people. There's organizations for battered women. There's organizations for, abused children. But I don't really think there is too much available. I don't think there's as many organizations for people that are disabled who are abused. Or people that have chronic illnesses that are abused. There's not much awareness in general. And I think too, there's too many small groups, and this is such a broad, when you say disability, it's so broad. It can encompass, like autism, like an autistic person can be disabled, but I'm also disabled. So it's so broad that it's just difficult to categorize them. There's people that are chronically ill that are disabled, and there's people that have, cerebral palsy or Down syndrome that are disabled. But those two things can be vastly different. So I just think the support isn't there for disabled victims. And we also don't speak out as much due to our disabilities or, whatever different issues that we have. Abuse and violence against disabled people is much more commonly accepted and less frequently punished than for other victim groups. I don't know why this is, and this actually sounds really terrible, that it seems to be almost more acceptable, is what it sounds like here. I think it's not so much that it's accepted. I got it online. It's kind of, I don't think all of this information is 100% accurate, or the way that it's phrased it's not phrased properly, in my opinion. So I don't know, but I don't think that it's more accepted. It's just more overlooked. So, it's kind of the same like with kids. If you see someone, if you're out at, Target or something, you see someone screaming at their kid in the parking lot, 9 times out of 10, you're not going to do anything about it, and no one else is either, because, that's, his parent. I have no right to say anything, to the parent. That's their child. And I think it's the same with, a disabled person. Well, that's their caregiver. Their caregiver knows what's best. And if their caregiver is, angry at them for something, they must have done something. As a matter of fact, I went to a blood test the other day, last week, and I didn't see this, but my mom actually saw it happening. There was a little boy that was deaf, and he was just kind of left in the blood test center on his own, and the phlebotomist at the center told him to get out because they were closing. And, they forced him out of the blood test place, and he got lost. And somehow the dad wasn't there, and he came back around, and he was like, where's my son? Where's my son? And, the son had disappeared. I mean, it was just a whole mess, but, he was disabled. And none of the phlebotomists really, cared about that. And his dad didn't seem to care about that either. Yes, if a disabled person complains, it may not be taken seriously. Yeah, I think that's very, hi, Mom TZS. Yes, their mental capacity may be questioned. Like, is this person in their right mind? He's, mentally disabled. He's probably just lying. Or, I think that also goes for people that are chronically ill. Oh, they're victims. She's always in pain. She's always complaining. She's always complaining about something. So of course she's going to complain that she's being abused. She's just she's a sad sack. She's, so I think it kind of goes both ways as well. And I think that's sort of the common thinking. Disability and mental illnesses are not the same thing. Yeah, I mean, mental illness can be very disabling. I definitely think that a lot of it is just, oh, this person is, just whiny, or just, she's always complaining about something. But yeah, I don't think it's accepted. I just think it's, just people don't really want to, you don't want to interfere. You don't want to interfere between a caregiver and, the person that they're taking care of. So a few things that a few different other little facts. Women with disabilities have an 83% chance of being sexually assaulted in their lifetime. People with disabilities are abused most often by a caregiver. And that makes sense to me, because that's the person that you're in closest proximity with all the time. You're with your caregiver most of the time, or for a big chunk of time. It's very messed up, but I mean, it makes sense. Your caregiver, sometimes your caregiver gets frustrated, they get tired. So I'm not making excuses for the caregiver, but I think this is just sort of like from my experience. So there was a 2012 survey of 7,200 disabled people, and 7 out of 10 disabled people report being abused. So that's about 70%. Of disabled people report being abused. Abuse of the disabled is widespread and overlooked, so we already talked about that. 60% of family members indicate their disabled loved one has been abused, that's kind of an interesting statistic, because the abuse is usually from, like I said, a caregiver or a family member, somebody that's very, very close to the disabled person. So I think it's interesting that 60% of the family members are actually observing that their loved one is being abused. So that's kind of interesting. Half of cases were physical abuse. So half of these cases were physical abuse, which means these people were physically hit. They were, battered in some way, pushed, slapped, that kind of thing. 40% were sexual abuse, and 90% were verbal emotional harm, which I'll talk about. Get benefits. I got to become more aware. Yeah, it's really, I think I mean, I was sort of aware of this, and I have to say, I saw some, sketchy behavior with disabled, because I used to work with disabled kids, before getting sick, and I did see a lot of sketchy behavior, and you really don't know what to do in those situations. You really don't know what to say or what to do, and now I've been on both sides, and it is, it's a really horrible thing to it's a horrible thing to witness, and then it's also a horrible thing to have to go through. Neglect and financial abuse were also cited in these cases. Among those victimized, more than 9 out of 10 said they were abused more than once, with 57% indicating they had experienced mistreatment more than 20 times. Incidents were not reported in half of cases. So these statistics, if you really think about it, the numbers are a lot higher, because so many incidents are not being reported. So yeah, that's pretty bad. So part of the reason I'm not leaving this up for replay, I'm gonna save this broadcast if I can, and I may put it on my YouTube. I've already put a couple of broadcasts up on my YouTube, but part of the reason why I'm not leaving this broadcast up here on Periscope is because of the sensitive nature of the topic, and because of my own personal experiences that I'm going to talk about. So I think I'll hold it together okay. I'm not an overly emotional person, and I don't want anybody to get don't get the impression that I'm taking this lightly. I just think that I've sort of detached myself from my experiences. Hi, Kevin. How are you? Hi, Clemens. Welcome. Hi. This is kind of a sad topic, so I don't know if you want to stick around for it, Kevin. So I'm not too overly emotional. Hi Clemens, I'm good. Kevin, how are you? Um, but I don't want people to think that the lack of emotional, um, I don't know, the lack of emotions does not mean that this is a topic that should be taken lightly. So yeah, don't take it as I'm just, like this isn't serious or anything. And also, I'm not pointing the finger or accusing anybody of anything. Um, I just want to raise awareness about this and share my own personal experiences. And like I said, I'm not accusing anybody of, yes, abuse is never a good thing. I'm not accusing anybody of anything. I'm not going to name names. I'm going to try to be as non-specific as I can. Welcome everybody to the broadcast. So, like I said, there's different types of abuse: physical, emotional, neglect, isolation, financial and material, abandonment, sexual, and self-neglect. So I have not particularly been physically abused, at least to the best of my knowledge. Welcome, everybody. So, or at least during the time of my illness, I have not necessarily been physically abused. I have been, I want to say, emotionally and verbally. I don't like the word abused. So, wow, that's really great, Clemens. Yeah, that's definitely violence against women is there's a lot of awareness for violence against women. Unfortunately, there's not as much awareness for violence against disabled people. Hi, Marcine. So I've been told that I'm unattractive. I've been told that I smell. I've been told that, I dress horrible, those kinds of things, attacks on my appearance. I don't know why I was told that I smell. I clean myself. I'm still able to clean myself up, so that I thought that was kind of a weird comment. And I'm not going to be specific on who said these things. I've been told, F you, I don't give an F about you. I'm the flower in the desert, thank you. I've been told that I'm unlovable. Hi, Roni Mac Daddy. So I've been told quite a few things. And yeah, the other side of the story to this is that some of these people also had mental health issues that they were dealing with. So, on the one hand, I don't know if it was necessarily hatred or just that these people were dealing with their own things. And I'm not making excuses. I'm not making excuses for these people. But usually when people do that kind of stuff, they're dealing with their own issues. So, I try to be as understanding about that as well. And, I kind of just, in a way, let it roll off my back. I try not to let these comments get to me, and I let them roll off my back. They don't, they're not going to deal with the fallout of their behavior. So, and at the time I didn't really feel the impact of it. I was just like, okay, whatever. And then afterwards you start, hi Lawrence, welcome. Afterwards, things started to sink in, and I started to process these comments, and that's when I started to realize that there was something very inappropriate about it. And you might think that, this is very abusive behavior, or this is very, how could you deal with someone that tells you that you smell, or tells you, F you, I don't give an F about you. Hi, Julian, welcome. But the fact of the matter is that a lot of times you don't really know that it's abuse. I've had people tell me, like, gosh, how come you dealt with that? Like, how can you, how did that just totally, fly by you? I wasn't aware. I was not aware that these things were forms of abuse. So that's another thing that you have to take into consideration is that it's mental abuse. Yes, at the moment it doesn't really sink in, but it is mental abuse. But I didn't know, and I actually think that a lot of women that are abused actually do not know that they're being abused. And even abusers aren't aware that their behavior is abusive. And that's actually something that I sort of wish that I could dedicate more time to is like abuse education, because I think a lot of times abusive people they don't know that their behavior is abusive, and that's a problem, and I think those are the two people that go together: the person that doesn't realize that their behavior is abusive and the person that doesn't know that that behavior is abusive and that they're being abused. So, I think there's just a lack of education. It's not necessarily like, oh, that girl is stupid, or that guy is, an asshole, or this and that. It's the fact that neither one of them knows that the behavior is considered abusive. And it wasn't until it happened to me that I started going online and Googling things, and all of a sudden all of these different types of abuse came up, and I was looking at it and reading the list, and it was like, I fall under, a bunch of these categories. So it was news to me, to be honest. Hi, Sever Pepsi. So that's emotional abuse. Also neglect. And as far as neglect goes, there were, do you recap what people said at the end of the day? Do I recap what people said at the end of the day? Thank you, Sever. I don't really understand what that means. But as far as neglect goes, there was one incident that I can recall. And I mean, I'm sure all of these behaviors are neglectful. But there was one incident that I can recall. Oh, thank you for the kisses. Yeah, actually, after it happened, it started to replay in my head, and I started to think about it. Like actually this particular incident that I'm going to talk about, I was on some really strong medication, antibiotics. I was having them pumped in through a catheter in my chest. And there was one antibiotic that was very extremely aggressive, and, even though it was going through my vein, I still had to eat food. Yeah, that's the point where it gets kind of hard. It's kind of looking back, and when I retell these stories, that's when I start to look at it and go, oh my God, how did this happen? In the moment, I had no clue at all, what was happening. But this was one of the first kind of severe incidents. So I had this medication, being pumped in, and I kind of was running low on food. Thank you for the hearts, by the way. I can't shop for my own food, unfortunately, because I have some light sensitivity issues. So my caregiver, I'll just call him my caregiver at the time, was solely responsible for bringing me food. And it was the end of the week. I was running low on food. The day before, I had said, I'm running low on food. Can you pick something up or something? And he just lashed out, and I'm tired, I'm busy, I'm this and that. And I was like, okay, it's not a big deal. And it was the tail end of the week. It had already been 4 days on this medication. The 5th day was going to hit me really hard. The medication was, full force in my body. 5 days, it was at its highest concentration, and I was literally just dying. I mean, I was standing over the sink. I didn't know if I was, if it was going to come up. There wasn't really anything that could come up because it was not really anything in my stomach. And, I was just, thank you, Clemens. And I was like, I need to put something in my stomach, whether it comes out or not. I need to put something in my stomach. And thank you so much, Clemens. And, yes, Clemens is very nice. And I'm, scavenging in the refrigerator for something. I have a lot of food sensitivity, so I really couldn't eat, all the stuff that was in there. But I just found something, And it wasn't until I looked back at that situation that I really saw how inappropriate it was. Thank you, Adriana. And thank you for the hearts. So it wasn't until I looked back at that situation, and it wasn't the next day, it wasn't the next week. It was, months later that I looked back on it, actually with a therapist. I actually had to talk to a therapist, and the therapist had to tell me whether that constituted abuse or not. I myself could not determine whether that was abuse or not. And she confirmed, my suspicions. So yeah, that was, hi Jay, welcome. So that was one incident. Another incident with the same individual, and this goes under abandonment. I was feeling really sick for some reason. I reacted to something really, really badly. I had a severe migraine, neck pain, just wasn't doing well. And my caregiver had planned a trip with a friend to Vegas. And, I didn't want him to go in the first place, but, he was my caregiver. Yeah, yes, Clemens, I have learned a lot. And we'll get into that. But, there's a lot of guilt that comes with being a disabled, chronically ill person. And I felt, my caregiver is entitled to a vacation. My caregiver is entitled to, go out and have fun with a friend. Yes, Adriana, thank you so much. My caregiver deserves a break. To Germany, yes. Yes, I've made a lot of friends on Periscope, which is really great. So hi Silencer, welcome. So, there's a lot of guilt, and I felt, my caregiver deserves this, even though I feel terrible and I feel really sick and I feel like I might need to go to the emergency room. My caregiver deserves a break. So even though I had already said, I'm not 100% comfortable with you leaving, he left. And I was sick that entire weekend. I did end up calling a nurse, like a nurse helpline, and, I survived the weekend. I was fine. Hi, Kat. Welcome. I survived and everything, and I thought, well, hurts your feelings, just tell me. Yes, thank you, Clemens. I survived the weekend, and hi, Sooner fan, welcome. And I made it through, and I was like, what? I survived. I didn't die. I'm fine. And I just justified it that way. I justified this person's behavior, and I said, I'm still alive. Nothing was wrong with me. And that's that. I mean, I was really sick. I figured out what had made me sick, but, it wasn't, again, until months later that I looked back and I realized that was inappropriate. There were some other forms of abuse that I'm not going to get into. Hi, Diaz, welcome. There was some financially abusive behaviors, removing money from a bank account, that kind of thing, and other forms of abuse that I'm not going to get too into because it's kind of sensitive. Hi, Zeno, welcome. So that's those were my experiences with abuse, and like I said, it is kind of a touchy subject. So people can't see your big heart right now. Such a great person. Thank you, Clemens. Thank you so much. Hi, Kels. Welcome. Thank you so much, you guys. It really is nice to see that there are people out there that are listening and that are interested in this topic. I was really worried that a lot of people were not really going to warm up to it. More recently, like I said, there was an incident of verbal abuse, and I had to get a restraining order as well. So, and thank you so much, Adriana. I know that you've been pretty supportive through a lot of stuff that's been happening lately. But yeah, I recently did have to get a restraining order, not because of any kind of physical abuse, but more kind of verbal, emotional, abusive type of behavior. And, I have to I have to be honest, I started making excuses again and saying, this person has his own issues. Somebody shared this and I have to thank this person for real. Yes. Yes. And thank you for sharing, you guys. I really appreciate it. Yes. You can kick them in the face for me. Yes. Thank you. And, I made excuses. I made excuses for this person saying, he has his own mental issues and I should feel bad for him. Hi, Juber. Welcome. And, I found myself falling into those very, very bad patterns again. And I think part of the reason why disabled people were so prone to being, victims is because we don't have a sense of self-worth. I've often told myself, you're a broken person. You're not a complete, person because you have this illness. You don't deserve to be with a complete person. You need to be with another broken person as well. Yes, Clemens, never do that again. So, we fall into the same patterns of victimization because we feel that we don't deserve any better than another broken person. And I'm learning, it's taken a lot of bad experiences, but I'm learning to say no and to walk away from situations that I feel could be potentially abusive. I still think it's going to take a lot of practice. Lawrence, I have late stage Lyme disease. I have a severe form of light sensitivity that really prevents me from doing a lot of stuff. Yes, Adriana, I deserve love and respect, but I have to believe that. And I don't think I'm 100% there yet. I don't think I believe that I deserve love and respect, but I'm getting better with it. I'm still struggling with it, and I think it's just going to take time. It's going to take time for me to see that. Hi, Ty. But I am not married. I'm actually divorced. I'm divorced. Almost 1 year divorced. Hi, Tyler. So I just think that that's one of the biggest issues with disabled people is, can you marry me? That's very flattering. Thank you. So, yes, it's I think I'm not the only disabled person that has a low sense of self-worth. I think it's very common with chronically ill people specifically. We would make a hot couple. I have to follow Clemens, actually. I have to check out his Periscope. Hi, IDAA. I have late stage Lyme disease, Tyler. So, I have to work on that. Disabled people also have to work on things. Also, another thing I'd like to mention, you have a live mix? Okay, cool. Lyme disease is a disease that has passed through the bite of a tick. So it's a bacteria that ticks have, and they bite you, and then you get it, and then it has a lot of neurological side effects. But also, on the other hand, hi, Shy, welcome. Disabled people can also be abusive as well. Yes, I want to stomp on those ticks too. Disabled people can also be abusive. I've seen different occasions and different incidents. Thank you, Tyler. Where disabled people have been abusive towards their own family members as well. So it can go both ways. But for those of you, if you do know, yes, Clemens, thank you so much for being here, though. I really appreciate it. Yes, I'm so happy that you were here, and I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Love you too, Clemens. Thank you. What was I going to say? If you do know that somebody is being abused, there is actually an organization called Adult Protective Services. I did not know about this organization. It's just like Child Protective Services, but it's for adults, like the elderly or disabled adults. Had I known about this organization, things might have been different. All right, Adriana, talk to you later. Thank you for being here. So if you know anybody that's being abused, let them know that there is an organization that can help them. I wish I had known. I wish that my therapist at the time would have told me about this. Yes, Adriana, I'll definitely try. I'll definitely try. This is day 6, and I'm definitely trying. Tyler, thank you so much for the shares. I really appreciate it. But there's adult protection services, at least here in the United States. So if you know of someone that's being abused, an older person or somebody that's disabled, please let them know that there is an organization that can help them. Hi, Gigi. So yes, let's try to raise awareness for this. This is a really interesting topic. And all right, Lawrence, thank you so much for being here. Yeah, I really want to raise awareness for this. Hopefully, if I ever get better in the future, I definitely want to be an advocate for people that are disabled and that are abused, because I think it's something that's very, very important to share and to raise awareness for. So if you guys want more information about my illness, please visit my YouCaring page. It's www.youcaring.com/Marisol has Lyme. That anyone would want to do that. Yes. It is very sad, but it's an unfortunate reality. And the reason that it's a reality is because there's no awareness. There's no awareness, and disabled people can't really speak up for themselves. So those of us that are not disabled have to speak up for those of us that are. And it's going to be an uphill battle, but there needs to be more awareness about this. So yes, visit my YouCaring page, youcaring.com/Marisol has Lyme. I'm going to see if maybe I can put this video up on YouTube. And follow me on Twitter, hotsun100384. And like I said, share this with other people. And let's raise awareness for this. Thank you so much for your sympathy and your compassion with this topic. I know it's a difficult topic to listen to, but it's very important. And I really appreciate that you guys were here. So I'll be back tomorrow with another topic, and hopefully something a little bit more upbeat and informational. I know this was kind of a heavy one. And there are quite a few heavy topics when it comes to Lyme disease and chronic illness and disability. So yeah, thank you so much, you guys, and I will see you again soon.